You're listening to Solder and Soot, a NARSA idea podcast. I'm Bobby Duran.
I'm Nathan and Grail. How's your summer going, Bobby?
My summer's going great. I've been spending a bit of time in New Jersey with the family over here. Also, we went on a couple of trips to Canada, to Ontario, and up to Vancouver fishing, and I've just been having a wonderful time. Shout out to my good friends in Canada. You have a wonderful country and very friendly host.
That's awesome. We've been doing some traveling too. We did the big family Disney trip this summer. And as far as NARSA goes, we're in between events, which means we're deep in planning, right? So we have the NIT coming up. We're already starting working on 27 events. So I know the team and I are still hard at work, even though it might be the quote unquote quiet time for us.
Right, and my hat's off to the home office because sometimes I think as attendees, we just show up to these things and we don't realize the amount of planning that goes into it, and especially when you're going to do a quality event. There's a lot that goes into it. So hats off to you and Linda and the staff at home office for planning these events. They've been getting just better and better every year.
That's great. I appreciate that, Bobby. And today is actually a preview of one of those events. We are talking with Gary Henton from Enfield Tubes, one of our hosts for this year's international tour.
This is NIT 8.
That's right.
NIT
number
8, also the Ocho, as
The
they say
Ocho.
on.
Yeah, so this year we have Enfield Tubes and Capalex, so they're both under same ownership. So we'll talk to Gary Henton about that today, and then also we have All Cool London, and then Bearwood Engineering also hosting us this year. So looking forward to all of our hosts, especially the conversation today with Gary.
It's going to be a extremely strong trip. I'm looking forward to it. But before we get started, we want to make sure to thank our sponsors. I want to thank Johnson Manufacturing for supporting the Solder and Soot podcast. Johnson has always supported NARSA in our mission. One major way was hosting our 2025 spring conference in Iowa, allowing us to connect members from all around the world.
We also want to thank For Our Fasteners, our other podcast sponsor. Looking for top quality industrial fasteners that combine durability and precision? For Our Fasteners offers custom engineered solutions, competitive pricing, and fast nationwide shipping on everything from hex cap screws to abrasives. Trust 4R Fasteners for all your fastening needs. Visit 4rfasteners.com to learn more.
I want to give a special shout out to FedEx. FedEx is the official transportation partner of NARSA IDEA, delivering exclusive shipping discounts, logistics expertise, and scalable solutions tailored to the heavy-duty cooling and diesel emissions aftermarket. To enroll in the FedEx Advantage program, visit our website, narsa.org.
Bobby, those discounts are actually pretty significant. I would, if our members haven't signed up yet, you really need to check that out for sure. All right, Bobby, let's check in with Gary. Gary, welcome to the podcast.
Nice to be here. Thanks, Nate.
So first things first, for people who aren't familiar with you, your companies, can you tell us a little bit about your history, your what you do, what services you offer, that sort of thing?
Yeah, sure. So Enfield Tubes has got a long history. It's been around since for over 80 years now, actually, since 1942, and we manufacture thin wall heat exchanger tubes, copper brass tubes, solder coated. So it's an industry that's entirely serving the heat exchanger market. For Capalex, my other business, it's a precision aluminium extrusion business. So still got a long history, over 40 years since 1979. We make precision aluminium extrusion. There we supply a number of different market sectors such as aerospace, defense, medical, automotive, and actually from moving into Capalex as well, I couldn't resist to use its expertise and equipment and the materials that we have to kind of jump into the heat exchanger market that I'd started to become familiar with from Enfield Tubes. So there we'd done a little low volume bar and plate heat exchanger components, and so I've made a big push into that now. So so it's been great to use the knowledge, the connections from NARSA, from our customer base over at Enfield Tubes to develop an offer from Capalex too.
That's really interesting because, I think Enfield Tubes, people have heard about Enfield Tubes. I certainly have. but the Capalex part of it is extremely exciting, and especially with obviously so many heat exchangers going to aluminum, and that even
Yeah,
even in my company, I have conversations with people all the time. It's like, where can we get these extruded type of tanks, and what are the specifications we need for different pressure levels. So I think that's just going to be an amazing opportunity to go visit your facility. Um,
great.
can we dig into your career? How did you get involved in cooling systems and having this group of companies?
Yeah, well, I got into cooling systems quite late in my career, actually. So I started a long time ago as a mechanical and production engineering apprentice. So I worked for International Harvester, Chicago-based company, for their UK operation. But almost quite shortly after I started there, they were acquired by JI Case, now Case IH, and that was a fantastic opportunity for me, a great place to start a career. Lots of different processes, manufacturing. I eventually specialized in precision gear and shaft manufacture for the transmission components. Um, and then from that point on, I went into I took a step away from that kind of industry. I went to be a plant manager in thermoplastics, polycarbonate sheet extrusion. So that another great experience. I got some international experience there. I had responsibility for a plant in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So I spent some time in the US. Um, but but working for the current group that I do now, I was asked to become the general manager at Enfield Tubes. So so that was, my first move into the cooling systems. Um, and so I suppose thermal management wasn't the draw, but it was the industry that drew me in once I started. The real pull from that business was that it was long established. It had a great little team. It was a relatively small, agile business, but with a great opportunity and a long history. So, but yeah, like I say, the cooling system industry then drew me in. It was a great opportunity to develop there, and so I couldn't resist the opportunity once I went into Capalex to say, we need to get into this market because there's great people, great industry. It's one of those things as well where the the industry seems so big, but when you get in it, and this is the benefit of an organization like NARSA, they create that sense of community. They introduce you to people. They have all the events, and that's when it actually feels quite small once you're in it, doesn't it?
Mhm.
You get to know a lot of people who are in this industry. I think really willing to help and offer a lot of advice, and so the learning curve can be very steep. You can pick up a lot really just speaking to some great people in the industry. So yeah, it's 6 years for me now, and I haven't looked back really. Really, yeah, it's great.
We heard Alf Anvin from
Yep,
Agarwal. He spoke at our last event in Duluth, and he received an award. And one of the things he commented on was that this industry is kind of unique in the way you just said, where it's a large industry as far as a global footprint, but as
yep,
far as the players, it's relatively small, and people are willing to help each other in a way that many other industries tend to be very sort of closed off and siloed. That resonated with me when I heard that, and basically hearing you say the same thing, especially from someone coming from outside of the industry.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I picked up the phone to Wolf to congratulate him on the award. So it just shows, doesn't it? You get to know everybody really, and yeah, it's great. It's great industry to be in.
Hmm. One thing that you mentioned, Gary, and it always resonates with me is if you're not born into this industry, you kind of find it by accident, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's sort of like your story, my story, a little bit, Linda's story, I know.
Yeah,
It's interesting how that works. And I can tell you it's been very rewarding on my end, and I'm sure it is on
good.
yours as well. And you mentioned having the NARSA community, that sort of thing. How did you find NARSA? What was the story of you joining and becoming more active within the NARSA community?
Yeah, well, I've always believed in trade associations. I think there's an important role for the trade association, and and when you're new into an industry, it's a great place to start your learning, really. So when I joined Enfield Tubes, it's one of the first things I asked, what trade associations are we a member of? Where can I, find some resource from some contacts, to learn more, and realized we weren't a member, and I was shocked. So I did a little search, very quickly came across NARSA, and it was the easiest decision to take to join, really. And then following that, the I joined in 2020, so it was COVID. I don't want to really mention that. It was try and forget that time, but so we weren't really, no one was traveling. But I remember the first opportunity to go to Apex, which was again good experience. Have a look round, see whether we want to exhibit, but the real benefit was the NARSA drinks reception on the evening of the first day, and that is the best part of the trip every year since. So it it's great. There's not enough time to speak to everybody, really. The room's full, everyone gets a beer, and it's just that great opportunity to catch up with people. And I think, I'm quite happy to say that actually I count a lot of people there. There's some customers, some suppliers, but I count a lot of those people as friends as well. It's just a really great part of that week, and wouldn't miss it, really.
No, and I have to echo your sentiment there. Back when, even before I was in my current role, that reception was something I was sure to never miss, just because the amount of people that you can interface with on just in one room is just
Yeah.
amazing. And just a quick public service announcement: we are changing our location this year
Oh, wow.
for
Okay.
the reception. It's actually gonna be in the same building as Apex, so we're going to be upstairs of the show floor. So it's
Oh,
going to be
nice.
right there. Yeah, a lot more information coming on that.
Yeah, I always say that reception is probably one of the most unique events in the industry, because you will never find another concentration of cooling systems professionals in one room anywhere in the world that I'm aware of. And it's a very welcoming area. It's not clicky. As a newcomer, the board members are always happy to introduce you to different people
Yeah.
and whatnot. And I just always encourage people. That's just one of the best things. And Nate worked something out where we're going to have a better venue, a more convenient venue, and that's going to be, we're really looking to pivot and really increase the value of that tradition and that reception, because it's just, to me, it's one of the best things that NARSA offers, is that
Mhm.
reception
Yeah.
in Vegas.
Yeah.
Oh, it's great. It's
Mhm.
great. I remember the first time going there, and they welcomed me on the door as though I was a returning, that they knew me. It was very
Mhm.
welcoming, before I even stepped into the room. So, yeah, so it's really nice event. It's great.
So speaking of Apex, last yeah, it's just at Apex 2025, we met Rick Woodburn, Linda, and Roland and I, and we kind of
Yeah.
hashed out sort of a rough outline for this year's international tour. So when that conversation came about, what was the driving force on your end? What made you kind of want to decide to host this year?
Well, similar to what I said about the benefits of a trade association, and you, I think especially NARSA, and this industry, everybody's very helpful. They're willing to offer advice. There's no kind of hiding your homework kind of thing with people here. It's really open and welcoming, and and I feel. I don't want to say that that phrase like giving back. It kind of seems like a bit contrite, but actually, it it's good to just get those people in your plant, um, share ideas. We learn from all learn from each other, and I think unless you've got people hosting those kind of visits, then that well they don't happen then, do they? And I think it's another real great innovation of NARSA that that they do those kind of events in the US, but also get out further afield as well, and 'cause and open up to the wider industry. So I think it was something that I really wanted to be a part of, whether visitor or host. And we contacted people on behalf of NASA as well to try and drum up some interest because I think it's good for people to engage with it, get involved, and I hope that people get some benefit, not just seeing our process, and it's not about us trying to just doing it from a commercial point of view or anything like that. It really is to just engage, with the industry, and I think it's another great innovation of the association. So it was an easy decision for us, and a opportunity to do a bit more 5S and get the place looking a bit more spick and span.
Well, that is the tradition.
Yeah,
You'll never have a cleaner plant to when you have a NARSA event at your place. That is, if you want to clean, just host a NARSA event, and I guarantee you'll get there.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. Does
what
every NASA event smell like paint, like fresh paint or something?
every one of them, every
Floor
single one
polish
of them.
and
So
fresh paint. Yep.
Yeah, that's
exactly,
right. Yeah,
yeah. So that's 100%. Well, what can members expect to see at your facilities? I believe a lot of people in the industry um, especially if you're in manufacturing like myself, you've seen tube mills and tube facilities. So I think
yeah,
people will have an idea of what to expect there. But so I would like to get your comments there. But on the Capalex side, you guys are doing aluminum extrusions, and
yeah,
essentially, as I understand, I've never been to an aluminum extrusion plant, but it's essentially like the old Play-Doh things when we were kids. You're basically, instead of
yeah.
forming clay into shapes, you're forming aluminum into different shapes. Can you expand upon, what we could expect to see at each of the respective plants?
Yeah, sure. Well, look. First of all, to say that the machinery is interesting, but the real purpose of the event is that sense of community, isn't it? It's to get people together, connect, have ideas, and things like that. So in terms of the wider aspects of the plant, we're keen on lean manufacturing principles. The way we trying to improve quality, drive out waste, production efficiency. But you're right. There's some people will have seen a tube rolling mill, some won't. Um, See how their products that they use are manufactured, how we run through the quality from the incoming raw materials right through to mechanical dimensional tests, microscopic evaluation of the weld, um, checking the solder profile so that um, you know they get the best most reliable product, and that's what's really critical in the industry, isn't it? That we help build reliable products. Um, in terms of Capalex, we have three extrusion presses. They Like you say, I think it's really interesting. Most people are absolutely fascinated when they get up close to the process because, as you say, they've got a point of reference, but it's maybe not on the same scale or it's not with metal, and so you've got heat, pressure, um, that extrusion press to form the billet through a die, and then we also pull and stretch, and then there's the heat treatment after each different alloy. Actually, in the mainstream aluminium extrusion, most of the industry would be one, two, three different alloys, typically what's called a 6000 series alloys. They're kind of like a universal product, good for most things. We stock 15 different alloys at Capalex. So we're very specialist extruder. So there's 7000 series and 2000 series that are known as hard alloy, typically used in aerospace for the tensile strength, and we'll select alloys that have got the right property for the industry and the application. And that's why we have 3000 series alloys, 3003, that we use for heat exchanger specifically. Um, and some are more closer to pure aluminium, some have more alloying elements so that they have these other different properties. So it's fascinating how, from that side, you have to pick the right alloy for the application. Just recognizing that one size doesn't fit all. And that was the thing. It was for me when I joined Capalex, it was we've got this huge range of alloys, so different to everybody else. 3003. I was asked for it at Enfield Tubes for heat exchanger applications, not for things we could produce there, but for, maybe because we're in the industry, we might be able to help out UK customers. And you couldn't find anyone to extrude 3000 series alloy anywhere. They always tried to get you to take a compromise, to use an alternative, a substitute product. And so I thought this is a great opportunity for us. It's what we do. We stock, something that other people don't have. We make the difficult precision tolerance products that other people there's a bit of complexity that they don't want to deal with. So we're not a massive volume site. We set up to do prototypes, pre-production, and then run into the production volumes too. But we can offer all that kind of service, and that's how we're set up for that fast turnaround, small runs. You wouldn't believe for an aluminium extrusion business, but our smallest ever, we say we have a minimum order quantity of one, and it doesn't matter what that one is, any unit of measure. And the smallest quantity that we did was 0.015 of a pound.
But they needed it, and probably per pound, it was probably the most profitable per pound you've ever
Uh,
done.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it got a plane off the ground, So
Exactly.
that's exactly it. So we yeah, so that's how the business is set up. It's quite different to other extruders, but the equipment is very much the same kind of equipment. We all actually, the latest press that we commissioned in November last year, and it's a multifunctional piercing press. So what that means is we can also produce seamless aluminium tube. So then you've got a greater structural integrity on that, because most extrusion um, is what's called on a tube. It would be porthole extrusion. So it basically might come through four cavities in a die, and then it kind of welds together in the process. So we can produce seamless, and we're the only manufacturer of seamless in the UK. So again, another thing that I think has got great potential in the heat exchanger market.
And this to me resonates because we see this in radiators, especially in markets like the UK and the US, where it's very difficult to compete against a lot of imports that are doing high volume things. We're seeing that in order to survive and in order to thrive in this world market, you need to be able to make niche things very quickly that nobody else wants to do. And I think,
Yeah,
I'm hearing that, and I'm looking forward to seeing your facility, because that's right down
great.
my alley, and I think that really resonates with a lot of our members.
Yeah, that sounds great. Good.
And the overall capability sounds really impressive, Gary. And honestly, it kind of reminds me a little bit about our spring conference host, L&M Manufacturing. A lot of unique capabilities, but very sort of remote, right? I mean, you're not in London, you're not in Manchester, you're not in
No, no.
Birmingham. You're in Workington,
Yeah,
and it's a little bit off the beaten path a little bit. And
it is.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the area that we're going to be going into, what the history is, the culture,
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff. So if you could key us in a little bit on what the local culture is like, that'd be great to hear.
Yeah, yeah, that's that's a really interesting one, as culture typically is, isn't it? So we we we're actually we're in an industrial area, small industrial area, but on the edge of the what we call the Lake District National Park. So it's kind of it's known as an outstanding area of national beauty in the UK. It's a UNESCO site. We call the mountains, we call them fells locally, and and they're probably more like big hills to you guys, that are used to seeing something much higher. But to us, they're challenging, that the that kind of environment creates a kind of like microclimate as well. So you can go 10 minutes down the road and it be sunny and you've come from the rain, and but we have a number of large lakes. So it's a great kind of area for an outdoor kind of lifestyle. The In West Cumbria, where we're located, as you say, the county is quite it's kind of like the cul-de-sac of the country or something, but it's the west is also the furthest point. For Enfield Tubes, that's in a business perspective, that's never been a problem for us because over 90% of our product is exported. So everything's collected and off to the docks and shipped from there and things. So in terms of the the business, that's not an issue. For Capalex, most of it's UK, but we supply sorry, Europe, and and export as well. But for all the UK market, we're an hour before we get to civilization. We're an hour before we kind of get on the highway and be able to really start trying to get the products out there. But look, having worked in Allentown, Pennsylvania, the we called like domestic customers there 4 days on the road, so it's the UK is not that big a country. It's not so much of a problem. The culture is great, and it's one of the things that I hope the tour will benefit from, because we like people who visit, customers, suppliers, whoever's coming to visit, to be able to speak to the people on the shop floor, and they're very forthright. They they're very honest, they're very open. To to us, they speak the mind if something's going wrong. They're very quick to tell you, and it's in a way that is raising the issue so we can resolve the issue. So yeah, it's a there's lots of little cultures, pockets of different culture and dialects and things like that. That's the only thing. You might not understand what a lot of them are saying sometimes, but yeah,
We'll work on it. We'll work on it. I
yeah,
can't wait.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll have a couple
We'll
days to
get a
get
translator.
our ears accustomed to it, but yes, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So before we visit, and I'm really looking forward to the visit, what is the proper football team to be supporting over there? I don't want to be like Man United if that's not an area there. I want to make sure that we advise our members not to wear the wrong shirt or colors while going into the factory.
I think I think most will forgive you. It's because there isn't the local team is Carlisle United. It would be like a, a Wrexham kind of a case study before but before they actually became good.
Yeah.
Like from the start. Although we've got US owners for Carlisle, so maybe they want
Ah.
to do the same kind of thing. But uh, but yeah, so there's a wide variety of people who support different, yeah,
Mm.
a lot of different different clubs, not necessarily local.
Mhm. Are there any foods that we must try when we're in the area?
Oh, great question. Probably lamb. You'll see a
Mhm.
lot of sheep on your way, so we have a local variety of sheep as well called Herdwick that are only in the Lake District. So
Mhm.
so lamb is you know uh, maybe something we need to organize and make sure that's on the menu.
There we go.
Sounds like a plan. I'm looking forward to it.
No, absolutely. I know. This conversation is making me want to go now. So these next handful of weeks can go by, so we can get over there and get to the tour. But that's all the time we have today, Gary. So we certainly appreciate you coming on, speaking with us. Looking forward to seeing you in person as well soon.
And then we catch up again in the first week of November,
That's
which will be
true.
great.
Mm-hmm.
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
yep.
Yes,
For
sir.
drinks in the Venetian.
There we go.
That's
And
right.
Enfield Tubes will be exhibiting at Apex, so make sure you
Yep,
stop by their booth there and see them there. And if you don't, we can catch them at the reception. So.
wonderful. Thanks for your
Excellent.
time.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Gary.
Bobby. Thanks, Nate.
NARSA's mission statement is one idea, one opportunity, and one connection. You just heard from Gary Henton of Enfield Tubes about how the association has helped his company. If you're not yet a member of NARSA, we'd love to have you join us. Learn more about membership by visiting our website, narsa-idea.org.
And stay connected with us on our website, narsa.org, by using our newly updated classified section and message boards. We also recently launched Level 2 of the Radiator Technician Certification Program. You can find that by logging into your account as well.
We want to thank our sponsors for today's episode, Johnson Manufacturing, for our fasteners and FedEx. Be sure to check them out.
And don't forget to subscribe to Solder and Soot wherever you listen to podcasts so you never miss an episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.